Get ready for chills and thrills at Hometown Haunts and Hops Horror Convention here in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Join us for a spine-tingling day of horror-filled fun on October 28th at the Mayflower Brewing Company. Meet horror actor Matthew G. Taylor from Resident Evil and dive into a macabre world of cinema and literature. Sip on chilling brews, indulge in ghastly treats, and immerse yourself in a haunted atmosphere. Whether you're a horror buff or just seeking an unforgettable experience, Hometown Haunts and Hops has it all. Don't miss out on the eerie excitement. Secure your tickets now by heading on over to Inebri-art.com. Go to our events calendar, and in October you will find the link for Hometown Haunts and Hops, which is sponsored by HalloweenNewEngland.com. HalloweenNewEngland.com is the website for the truly Halloween obsessed, with the most extensive guides to New England haunted houses, ghost tours, classic horror film screenings, jack-o'-lantern festivals, haunted hayrides, and more. They've got all the thrills covered throughout September and October, with over 2,500 Halloween events on their events calendar and hundreds of local Halloween attractions. It's the only place you'll find everything from haunted history tours and costume contests to which haunts are open on Thursday nights. HalloweenNewEngland.com has your Halloween covered and is sponsoring Hometown Haunts and Hops this year. Welcome back, Inebriates. We are today with another musician out of Canada. We've had just a string of them lately. So today I am joined by, fingers crossed here, Sei Nakauchi Pelletier.
Beautiful.
Of Teke.
Yeah, Teke.
Teke. Damn,
Yeah.
that's pretty close.
Yeah.
So you guys are, so like I did a little quick search online, and how do you describe your band? I'm gonna put it on you. Like, how would you describe your band?
Oh, we're a 7-piece.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a big melting pot of, people with different backgrounds and different instruments too. So we have the basic, rhythm section, drums, bass, 2 guitars, one that's probably more melody focused, and the other one is kind of like we call him the chaos provider. He's really into noise music and stuff, and playing with like toys and pliers and stuff like that. So you have the two very different playing dynamic going.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a trombone player who also plays the gaida, which is a sort of bagpipe.
Oh, okay.
But from Bulgaria, so Bulgarian bagpipe. He's a big fan of Bulgarian music. And then we have a flautist. She plays the classical flute, but also a lot of the Japanese, the traditional Japanese flutes, like the shinobue. And she plays also a taishokoto, which is it looks kind of like a typewriter with strings.
Okay.
But basically like a kodo, so a string instrument with the part that looks like a typewriter is the way you hit the keys, or I don't know how to call them, but how you make the notes.
Mm-hmm.
And then and it's something you can plug in. It's electric. It's from, I guess, the late 70s, 80s. And then we have a bass player. I said bass already. And then lead vocals, Maya, who sings and does all the visual art also, and writes the lyrics. So that's the band, basically. When I'm asked about, like, to describe the band is one thing. To describe the music, I don't really dare.
It's like I'm always saying that I find like the genres that I grew up with, which there were like five,
Yeah,
country, R&B, metal, rock, pop, that kind of thing. They're kind of gone. Like no one fits
yeah,
into like such a neat pigeonhole. But like I was watching you guys, and I'm like, wow, it I mean, obviously, you got Bulgarian instruments, you have, other traditional instruments from other areas. Um, I mean, there's nothing else I mean, it's a complete fusion. You guys are based out of Canada, um, but not singing in English, not singing in French.
yeah.
It kind of had a California surf feel to it at some points,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well, I mean, if I tell you how the band started, then I guess people who wouldn't know the band, it'll give them a good, perhaps a good, it'll give them a good idea of what the music might sound like.
Mhm.
But we started out as a tribute. So the first show we've ever played was a tribute to a Japanese guitarist by the name of Takeshi Terauchi.
Okay.
And this is where the surf sound comes from, basically,
Oh,
because
okay.
yeah, he was sort of the Japanese answer to the Ventures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened is that the Ventures played Japan. Well, the first time they played Japan, I think it was in the 60s. And at the time, all the kids in Japan were like into rockabilly and just, wearing leather and dancing. And then when the Ventures played, it just, all the kids all of a sudden wanted to play electric guitar. And that was the big boom called the Eleki, which means basically electric
Yeah.
guitar. Yeah. And Takeshi Terauchi was kind of like the big, a lot of really good musicians came out of that scene, but Takeshi Terauchi actually mixed a lot of traditional Japanese melodies into the music, into the surf rock music. And that's what made it really special. And that's the tribute that tribute show that we did back in 2017 was all his music. However, we played his music, not trying to imitate it or like
Hmm.
even the tones or the gear we would use was, it wasn't about doing the exact same thing. And so we played with, I guess, kind of a punk edge or like a new or more modern approach and energy and everything. And the sound that came out of that to us felt very fresh and new and exciting. And
Yeah.
basically, because when we played that show, we didn't know if it was going to be a one-off or and then we were so stoked on what had just happened that we decided to go on and do this. But of course, in order to become a legit band, we thought, it'd be more interesting to write our own material. Also,
Sure.
Maya wasn't there. It was fully instrumental for the first show. She was there. She was in the audience.
Hmm.
And then by the second or third show, she joined in, and that's how it started. So, and then from, that's 2017. So I feel like uh we've moved on and kind of like we know that our roots are into, it comes from that scene and other bands too from the late 60s and 70s in Japan, and even more than just music, just the whole scene, theater, visual art, cinema. There was so much going on at the time that was really kind of rebellious and kind of underground.
Yeah.
And all of that is a big influence for us. But like I said, now that we know each other more and that we get influences from everybody in the band, it's gotten like, much wider and it's, yeah.
Was that show in Japan?
Nope, no, this was here, right here in Montreal. It was a
It
psychedelic music festival, and we were asked, well, we were offered to
yeah.
close the festival. Yeah,
Is there a large Japanese community in Montreal or
not so much
yeah.
larger than, let's say, 10 or 15 years ago, when everybody, who was Japanese kind of knew each other. That's
Yeah.
how we met
Yeah.
basically Yuki, the flautist, and Maya, the vocalist. Um, but I mean, Montreal is not a huge city neither, so it's yeah, even just the music scene, everybody kind of knows each other or know of each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there is quite the scene there because we've been getting a lot of Montreal based musicians lately.
Oh yeah. Oh, lately, yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
it's so unbelievably diverse in like what we've been getting, and I'm like, this is seems like I was telling you before we started that I'm in Massachusetts, and we have a variety, but it's very, jam band heavy kind of suburban reggae is kind of like a big thing around here. And it's just like to see just like such a wide variety of like musicians in that area. I'm a little
yeah, yeah.
jealous, you
Huh.
know.
We're in Massachusetts.
So I am about 45 minutes south of Boston, like right before Cape Cod.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. We recorded our first album in Pawtucket.
Oh, Pawtucket. Yeah, yeah.
How do you pronounce it, man? I always have a big
Pawtucket.
problem with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pawtucket, Pawtucket.
Pawtucket.
Yeah,
Pawtucket.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rhode Island, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think I'm going there next week. Yeah, we're not too far from there. We're kind of like halfway between Boston and Rhode Island.
yeah, yeah. A lot of really good, you know, heavy and experimental bands in that area, no?
Yeah, Rhode Island actually has I think they have a better I don't want to say better. A so where we are, like I live in a very tourist heavy area, and so there's tons and tons of bars and restaurants, and most of them have live music.
Yeah,
So musicians here can make a living at just playing, the local bars and restaurants and whatnot.
kind of like
Which
Nashville or
yeah, which is
yeah,
great, but a
yeah, yeah.
lot of it is cover music. There's not a lot of love for original music around here, which I think sucks.
Okay. Yeah,
Um, but like Rhode Island seems to have like a really good underground like metal bands and like
yeah.
I have friends in a band called Scarecrow Hill, and if they're gonna play a gig, they either have to go like up to Salem, like
Okay,
uh
yeah.
past Boston, or like down to Rhode Island, because it's just around here people don't want to hear original music, and
Hmm.
it's kind of a bummer, but I can't figure it out. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Huh.
What's the scene like in Montreal? Because like I said, it seems really diverse. Is that just my
Yeah, it is.
perspective, or
No, no, I think it is you have everything and I would say that, well, of course, anywhere you go you get the cover bands, and I
Mhm.
mean we started out as one.
Right? Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing
Uh,
wrong with them. They're fine.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think people here, when they start a band, they really do their own thing.
Yeah,
And also it's just sort of such a, yeah, diverse, uh, just people from everywhere. And so you get the same kind of, you get the music that's being made here is also very hybrid and all sorts of things. And yeah, I think
that's probably where we're missing out. There's not a diverse population
mm,
around here. It's
uh,
very like wealthy white people.
huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, Montreal, I feel like has always had a great music scene, very creative, and yeah.
Nice. So, you mentioned the artists that you cover, but like, what other artists have like influenced this band? I feel like it would probably be a wide assortment of.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when we recorded that first album in Pawtucket.
Yeah.
We talked about this Brazilian band, Os Mutantes, a lot in the studio because, yeah, like their music is very different, but the kind of craziness and the freedom that they allowed themselves
Hmm.
in the making of their music is something that we can relate to and that we want to keep as a big part of this band, I think, moving forward. And I think we managed to do that with the second album even more. It's so we, yeah, Os Mutantes and other Brazilian artists. What else? Well, speaking of Montreal, there's a band here called Suns, Suuns, that I'm a big fan of, and I just their records. If you listen to them, it just seems like there's a lot of experimentation. It sounds like they're exploring together, and it's not so much the same kind of linear songwriting or
Hmm.
it's I like that. I like and it's a challenge for me too because actually I used to be really like almost have like one way of working on a song and which was kind of linear. And that's what I learned with working within a seven piece and having everybody participating. You can't really come up with one thing or a song that that's figured out, or because I used
Yeah.
to do that, and then but for them it's like they have to find their way to individually to connect with the music and find their own place in it. So it didn't really make sense.
Hmm.
It might have made sense for other projects I had before, but for this one I realized that it's better to come up with little pieces here and there, and then together we work on the songs, and we get to a place with the songwriting and with the songs that I would never get to on my own. That's the main thing that's I think is amazing about making music with other people. And yeah,
I love working on any project that's collaborative,
yeah,
because it's just like someone will kind of toss out an idea and then everyone else kind of like adds their own piece to it and you end up with something completely different than even maybe the initial idea,
oh
but it's
yeah,
kind of like grown like out of everybody's. Is it challenging writing with such a large group?
it is. I mean, personally for me, because of what I just said in terms of songwriting, I come from a different place, but I changed that, I believe, and I'm really grateful for the lessons I've learned through playing with these people. And I think it's the only way we can go about it with this band
Yeah.
too. I think that's what makes it special. Um, yeah, but it is challenging. I think if you're going to do that, you need to have enough time and not force anything. To understand, to really understand someone else's point of view on something. You want to really like take the time and forget about your ego and everything. And but it's all worth it.
Yeah. I love how you've been talking about how like experimenting with music, because I feel like so many bands just kind of be like, all right, well, we need two guitar players and a bass player and a drummer and a singer, some slight variation of that. But like some of my favorite bands, like one of my all-time favorites is Mr. Bungle,
Oh yeah,
and I mean, just every album is so different than the one before, and I think Mike Patton is, I've seen him. Have you seen him twice? I think I've seen him twice. Um, he's the only singer I've ever seen that had like swaps out his microphone for like depending on different sounds. And
Right, right.
like I really love that kind of idea of just being like, well, let's play with, what kind of sound will this give us, and like how can we use that? And it's just kind of like sculpting in a weird way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Mike Patton, the way he approaches vocals, it's like any instrumentalist, like the gear he'll use. I know he puts his, voice through all sorts of things,
Yep.
and you never really get the same kind of even the delivery is different within one song, or yeah, it's yeah, that's really great. We can relate to that.
Yeah, one of my absolute favorites. So are you guys currently, because your album came out in June, right? Do you have that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Early June, yeah.
so are you guys touring this summer or just kind of like doing local shows? Like what's your schedule
Yeah,
kind of looking like?
so in the summer we do a lot of the summer festivals.
Mm-hmm.
This year it's a lot of like fly in, fly out. But this summer was mostly in Canada.
Yeah.
And next month, September, we're going to the UK for a week and a half, for the second time. Pretty excited about that. And then when we come back, we have two shows, one upstate New York, one in New York City. And then in October, we have a West Coast tour that'll take us to LA, Seattle, Portland, Olympia. I'm forgetting a
Right.
few.
You guys are everywhere.
Well, I mean, this summer was
Yeah.
almost kind of quiet, but yeah, it's in the fall. We'll tour a little more, and hopefully, I think in November we're talking some dates in the Midwest, and I mean, we've been wanting to go in Boston and around Boston for a long time, and so it's all in the work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's great venues where I live. It's called the South Shore, and there's great
No way.
venues. Yeah.
You know what? There's a South Shore here too, and that's where I'm moving next
Oh,
month.
really? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna move on the other side of the bridge.
Nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of the, like I said, the area kind of like between Boston and Cape Cod.
yeah,
And there's just been a boom of like local bands, and I feel like during COVID everyone kind of like regrouped and kind of like put out new albums, or like new recording studios opened up, and just like
yeah,
this, now there's just kind of this influx of all this stuff coming out. And all these shows are coming back, and venues have opened up and gotten more touring musicians in. There's just so much going on right now that it's
yeah. I mean,
it's
it's
almost hard to keep people's attention.
yeah. Well, there's that, and it's hard to book a tour because it's gotten so competitive. Everybody's trying to, get
Yeah.
on the road, and people are booking way in advance, and it's like, whoa, this is already booked. Oh, that venue's already booked. Oh, damn.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, everyone's making up for lost time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
D- um what did you guys do during COVID? Were you got with such a large group? And like I know smaller groups were kind of like, it's the four of us and we're in our bubble or whatever.
Yeah.
Were you guys recording? Were you writing? Like,
Actually, we had just finished recording the first album, so we had the album in the can, and everything stopped.
yeah,
Um, we were lucky enough to not have any big tours canceled. I mean, we've seen bands here, had crazy tours, and then it was all gone. But we had the album in the can, and actually, we got pretty lucky because we released it during the pandemic,
yeah.
uh, maybe about a year and a half after it was mastered or something like that. And um, yeah, through a friend, and we got to talk with the people at Kill Rock Stars, the label from well, they're in Portland and Nashville right now.
Yeah.
And we were able to release it. So just that was kind of a miracle in a way. and we were stoked. And then by the time it was over, well, by the time the pandemic was over, then we were able to yeah, go back and tour. Well, it's yeah, we kind of we went to France, and then it was okay, and then another lockdown happened, and then
Yeah.
it was always like, but then again, you learn that nothing's for granted, and every time we play, it's very special, and we appreciate it, and that's how it is. That's
So if you were working with Kill Rock Stars, that you said they're out of Nashville and LA, was it? How did you
Portland.
end oh Portland, sorry. How did
Yeah.
you end up in Pawtucket to record?
Oh, actually, we recorded the album before we ever knew that we would release the album with Kill Rock Stars. We were actually talking with other labels as well, and well, we recorded in Pawtucket because there's a great studio there called Machines with Magnets, where a
It's a
lot of
good
great
name.
bands, yeah, yeah, um, bands like Battles, well, Montreal band Big Brave recorded, I think, pretty much all their albums there. Um, Daughter, I think, a lot of the bands from Rhode Island, a lot of the heavy bands, they go there, and I think if I remember well, I just liked well, first of all, I really liked the way Seth, the engineer, recorded the rhythm section. It was always really heavy, and for me going in, well, for us, for the band to go in with music that was kind of like, well, with all the influences from the late 60s, 70s and all of that, we didn't want to go that route. Like we
Hmm.
wanted to avoid, we didn't want to, and not to take anything from like bands who would do that, as but we didn't want to go retro. We
Yeah.
wanted to go, today, us today in this world. And to me, what I had heard, like all the albums that Seth had worked on, it really sounded, yeah, like that, heavy and tight. And I don't know. Sometimes it's just feeling. You hear music and you feel something, and also because we know the people from this Montreal band, Big Brave. Seth is the engineer. Is just he works like crazy. It's just so quick and so I don't know. He really knows what he's doing, and we had a great experience. So that was for the first album. And then as far as KRS, we actually have friends in Vancouver. They have a band. It's a duo. It's called Mittens, and it's kind of heavy, math rocky, experimental noise music. And they had just signed or released an album with KRS, and we owe it all to them for telling the label about us.
Yeah.
And they checked us out and through emails during the pandemic. We and it's really strange because I grew up on music from artists on Kill Rock Stars, Elliott Smith, Slater Kinney, Bikini Kill, all that stuff. Unwound, which is a band that I love. Um, but I had kind of forgotten about the label for, I mean, yeah.
It's funny how stuff like that can circle around, that like, either people you have met at some point in your life comes back and you're like, oh shit, I do remember, like
Yeah,
I've literally had people where I've been talking with for like months, and then all of a sudden they'll bring up something. I'll be like, "Wait, were you that guy at that place?" And they're like, "Yeah." And it's always amazing like how like that stuff kind of cycles around.
yeah. I think it has to do with age too. At some point, it's
Yeah,
a lot of information in the hard drive kind of disappear,
yeah, yeah.
and
Yes,
then you need just one little thing to bring it all back. And and then I was like, wait a minute, yes, of course, and it makes sense. This is a perfect label for us, the whole DIY and kind of punk mentality, and I mean, it's been really cool. They're very nice, and it's not a huge label with a lot of employees, or
Yeah.
it's easy. It feels like a family, and we got to meet a lot of the other bands, new bands in the roster through playing at festivals and stuff like that. It's really nice. So we released the second one also, the more recent one with them.
Yeah. Do you prefer playing festivals or kind of your own show?
Oh, well, for example, we just played Montreal, which was kind of like it was part of a festival. It was part of a jazz festival here that's kind of well known. But for us, it was the album launch,
Hmm.
kind of. And I would say it's great, but at the same time, when you play in front of your friends and families and all that, it's I always get a little more nervous.
Yeah.
Whereas when we play festivals, especially in other towns or other countries, I don't know, for some reason I don't feel any pressure or
Hmm.
stress.
Interesting.
But I think I like all the options,
Yeah.
festivals, smaller shows, small venues. Yeah, I'm down with pretty much anything.
So you guys have played jazz festivals, psychedelic rock festivals. You've talked
Folk
about being kind of, yeah, like, is that just because like your band is that so hard to define thing that people like that you just kind of fit with every,
oh,
aspect of music where you're just kind of, I don't want to say chameleons because you're not changing, but it's just like it just seems like you plug in and fit with so many other things.
oh well, that would be nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never thought of that. Never thought of it that way, but it could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think we like to think that Teke is we're not trying to make music for a niche audience or whatever. We really think and we truly believe that anybody who's curious enough can have a listen and enjoy it.
Cool. Techie, techie. Did I get that right? Yep.
Yeah.
Um, so when I first kind of Googled it, I got a old folklore. Like, where does the name come from? Is that what the name is from? It's like a,
It's
oh,
not.
okay.
Yeah, the name, yeah, Teke Teke, if you don't add the band, the word
Yeah.
and after, then you'll get a whole different thing. It's an urban
Some
legend.
sort of like ghost, Slender
Yeah,
Man, something. Yeah.
yeah, it's a story of a schoolgirl who got her body chopped in half on by a train, walking on the train track, and then she comes back hunting. I mean, at school as a ghost, and she walks on her elbows.
Oh, okay.
And then you get the sound of tick, 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 tick. So they made a
Oh, okay. Yeah.
movies with that.
Yeah.
But this is not where it comes from. The name Teke Teke we took when we did that first show. We chose that name because of the sound of the guitar, the surf guitar. Teke 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 Teke. You know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
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 So it's an onomatopoeia. Like
Yep.
there's so much in the Japanese language. And so Teke Teke, that's where it comes from. But also we learned after that it was also a slang in the 60s or 70s for teenagers who would in Japan who would dress up as surfers, but didn't really surf,
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
and they would be called out like yeah, Teke Tekes. So two things related to surf.
Yeah, that's
We thought it
interesting.
was
Yeah.
interesting, so we just and band names. You choose one, and then you're stuck with it.
Yeah. Well, that's that old what was it? I think it was the old Jethro Tull story about how they were so bad when they started that their manager kept having to change the name so it could keep booking them.
Yeah.
And then when they finally caught, he had happened to change it to Jethro Tull, which is like some really obscure reference. And that's when the band kind of caught on. And now they're like, I guess that's the name of the band now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So funny.
Yeah. So the new album is out already. Is it available? Like, where can people get it? Is it on vinyl? I'm sure it's
Yeah.
downloadable and
I mean,
streaming.
it's available everywhere. It's called Hagata, which means bite mark. And yeah, it's available everywhere in digital. And we have vinyls and CDs. But
CDs,
yes,
they still make those?
yeah, and people still buy them.
Yeah.
Um, and the best way to to buy those physical ones, or maybe even the digital, actually, yeah, is through Bandcamp
Bandcamp is the
or it shows. Or
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Check out the band. Go to a show.
or your local record store.
Yeah.
Uh, also.
Yeah, but Bandcamp is the one that like all the musicians we talk to seem to like the best for kind of like online presence. Um, I don't know what they're doing that makes them so likable, but they seem to be doing a great job there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just that artists will get more of the money they should be getting from the sales, whereas all the digital platforms, not to name them, well, I think everybody
Everyone
knows.
knows who they are. Yeah, paying
Yeah,
you like
everybody knows how much.
8/10 of a penny for every time someone listens to your song or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
And where can is there a website that you guys have? Like, are you guys on social?
Yeah, I
Um,
think the best way is our Instagram,
yeah.
to know what's going on and all the dates and the tours that I mentioned before. It's all there. We have a link tree, and the website is tekeband.com and
That's Teke, right? Yeah.
TEKETEKE band.com. And you can even, we have a page there with the lyrics translated to English and French.
Oh, really?
If anybody's curious,
That's cool. Yeah.
talking about in those songs, and yeah, links to videos and all that. It's all there.
Nice. Yeah, I was watching you guys did a live performance on KEXP.
Yeah, that's KXP at home that we did
Yeah.
during the pandemic. Yeah,
Oh, that was during the pandemic?
yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't I'm assuming they're a radio station. Like I don't know who KEXP is, but
Oh my God.
they're
Yeah,
constantly popping up in like recommendations, and it's all these bands that I like or will listen to and be like, I do like these guys. It's
yeah,
so
yeah. The radio station in Seattle.
oh
And
okay.
what they do when bands are on tour and they stop in Seattle, they a lot of times they will invite them in the studio to perform and to an interview. And those performances, they're always so good. And
Yeah.
there's yeah, they're doing a great job at mixing
Hmm.
and thing about it is
It
really
reminds me a lot of NPR's Tiny Desk Concerts.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that kind of same vibe and just like real diverse um selection of bands, and that's what I love is if anything my music tastes are eclectic, so it's like I like that kind of one day it's something that everybody's heard of and the next day it's something that hardly anybody's heard of or is
Yeah, yeah.
really experimental or I love that stuff. So
Yeah, it's really cool that they do that. Yeah.
before we go, because sometimes I like to do this, what is one band you're listening to now that I should check out? Like, is there something that's like stuck on rotation in your car, or
Oh my God.
I mean, other than you guys?
Yeah, I don't listen to my music really. I hear it because
Yeah.
no, it's a great record. Um, right now, heavy rotation. Ooh, I mean, I listen just like you. I listen to a lot of different music, and I really often go back to classics, and it's not necessarily new stuff. But I mentioned the band Suns earlier on.
Yeah, I made a note of that so I can check
Yeah,
that
yeah.
out.
I mean, yeah, just like the vibe, the atmosphere, their music. I mean, I discovered another Canadian band from New Brunswick called Motherhood. Um, we played a festival together, and yeah, a good rock band. Um, Also, I listen to a lot of rap music.
Yeah, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, just recently, I listened to El Michel's Affair group based in Queens, New York, and they just made an album with Black Thought of the Roots. So I
Oh,
was
cool.
listening to that.
Yeah.
Also the new Deer Hoof. Do you know Deer Hoof?
No.
Oh my God! Well, they've had an album on Kill Rock Stars as well. They just have so many albums. Um, and so their latest, I forgot the name, but that one, well, the singer is Japanese, and this is their first album fully in Japanese. And their music is just genius. And before that album, they released an album called Love Lore, which is a cover album, but like nothing I've ever heard before. Within one song, they'll cover uh, like a jazz artist, and then they'll throw in a voivod, and then you'll get like four or five artists in one
In one
song.
song. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Just amazing.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
uh,
cool, man.
I listened to
Awesome.
that recently.
Thank you for the recommendations. I'm gonna have to check those out. Um, I want to say thank you for coming on the show, man. It was a lot of fun. And I always, my favorite thing about doing this podcast is just all the people we meet, and kind of like I get to become fans of new music that I haven't heard before. And it's, I come from the generation that like we found out about new music on MTV. So now I had to start a podcast to find out about new music. And
Yeah, yeah,
so it's great. It's my favorite thing. So
yeah. Thank you. I really enjoy doing those because it's more like a casual conversation, and yeah, it's
yeah,
nice, nice
that's
meeting people this way,
yeah.
and yeah, thank you.
And when you guys are looking to tour on the East Coast, Boston area, let me know. I know a few people with connections to some venues, so
Absolutely, thank
and
you so much. Yeah.
point you in the right direction. So,
Cool.
and for our listeners, make sure you check us out again next Monday when we're here with someone else. I don't even know who's on the list, so it'll be somebody, and we'll be here back next Monday.
Cool. Thank you.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.